Okay, well, good Monday night, New York Jet fans and NFL fans. It's October 13th, 2025, 11:10 p.m. You are watching The Takeoff. My name is Alex. Week 6 coming to an end. There's about 2 minutes plus here in Washington. Redskins up with a 2-point lead. Just fumbled the ball away as they were trying to put the game away. Bears have the ball now in a torrential downpour. With 3:07 left in the game. It's 24-22 Washington. Earlier tonight, the Bills went to Atlanta and the Falcons beat them 24-14. Josh Allen thrown an interception late in the game. There was no timeouts. It was really desperation passing at that point. But you never count them out, really. So, what is there to say? And from yesterday's game to listening to the post-game comments on SNY to watching ESPN this morning, listening to ESPN, watching Aaron Glenn's press conference, watching Garrett Wilson's press conference after the game yesterday, there's nothing I could say newsworthy that a person who follows the NFL, a person who follows a team, wouldn't have heard yet. So I'm going to speak as a fan, and I try to be a realistic fan. I am not one that is ready to implode everything and start from the bottom. I'm not one that, when I look at the team before the season, we're going 17-0, first round bye, just walking to, I am not that fan. I've seen too many seasons, too many off seasons, too many plays, too many games in person, on TV, listening to them where you never know what's going to happen, especially with this team. And yesterday, we went to 0-6, so 6 weeks, 6 losses, and we found another way to lose a game. And out of the 6 losses, we probably could have won or should have won 3 to 4 of them. All right, and I'm not going to rehash the old games throughout the season. I'm not going to go back in time. But yesterday in London, standalone game. I think we have 3 standalone games this year so far. That's the second one. I think it's a Thursday night game against New England, which is our last standalone game. And New England with their quarterback, I just, whatever. But, Sunday morning, and I always like the Sunday morning games because you get up. I get up, I go to church. My wife does brunch for us. We set up the home gate. We have my buddy and my nephew come over, and we watch the game. And it starts off, defense gets their first turnover of the season on the first drive that they're on the field. Defense actually puts 2 points on the board when they're just about to sack Nicks in the end zone, and there's a hold. Jets had the lead. Jets had an 11-10 lead late in this game, okay? But I'm going to rewind back a little bit. I'm going to go back to fundamentals of this game, okay? Not many penalties, but they were there. And it seemed like the game plan was to feed Breece Hall the ball, okay, and use Garrett Wilson when they could. And there's really nobody else there. Alan Lazard didn't make the trip. You have Smith as your other wide receiver. You have Mason Taylor, who at one point I think should have reached out to catch a ball, and he didn't do it. And it just came down to, again, putting Justin Fields in a position where he does not thrive. And it got to a point where he was either doubting himself or was scared. Okay? He was sacked 9 times. Take away how many times he got hit. Okay? And then when he did run and got hit there. Okay? So, Jets, like I said, as good as the Broncos have been said to be, Jets were holding their own against them. And the defense kept them in, and the special teams kept them in. And Jets get the ball back, and They're under the 2-minute warning before the half, okay, and they're down by 4. Okay, they're down at this point. And the Jets start moving the ball. And on 4th and 1, now remember, it's 4th and 1, under 2 minutes on this drive or whatever it was when they did it, they run a fake punt and they extend the drive. And then they go to this ridiculous play calling, where they just kind of kill the clock. And it looks as if they have a first down, okay? Aaron Glenn said in his press conference afterwards, somebody called first down on the field. Somebody said, no, it's 4th down. They didn't know what they were going to do. They didn't know what the down was, whatever it was. And it went from 20 seconds, 18 seconds, and the play clock and the game clock ended the first half. You could see there's like 5 seconds left on the clock, and Garrett Wilson actually walks off the line of scrimmage towards the sideline, and he's having a discussion with Aaron Glenn. And Aaron Glenn is listening to him, has his arm around him, but you could see Garrett Wilson is basically disgusted. Okay? Jets come out second half, and they really cannot move the ball, okay? They didn't score a touchdown. They wound up getting 2 points on the safety, and they wound up scoring 3 field goals. The Jets had the lead deep into the fourth quarter. Okay, and then, again, defense that was playing well all day could not make the big stop, and they give up a field goal late. Jets get the ball back, and they try to move the ball, and there doesn't seem to be like a sense of urgency. It doesn't seem like there's any type of reason or rhyme or reason, any rhythm to their offense. And you can see, just nothing is going right. And Justin Fields has Garrett Wilson basically beating his defender to the sidelines at the markers, and Fields can't put it where it needs to be, and Garrett Wilson drops it. So it becomes either a 4th and 8, okay, or a 62-yard Nick Folk attempt. So I think it was 62. Now, for certain reasons, I'm in another room. Okay, I'm doing something. I'm working, watching a game. I have the rest of the family, my buddy, my nephew in the big room, in the Jet room, watching the game. And there's a time delay. Okay, so I see what's happening before they're seeing it. So I walk in thinking they're ready to set up for the field goal. And they're not. It's actually the Garrett Wilson play. So I'm like, all right, I saw this. I'm going to stay here and watch this with you. And on 4th and 8, they put Justin Fields and the offense back out there with really no time to do anything. And he gets a sack. And all I kept saying was, I would have put my faith on the foot and the leg of Nick Folk, the 40-year-old Nick Folk, to maybe hammer one through from 62. Okay, I think he hit one from 56 or 57 earlier this season. 62. Then put it in your quarterback's hands, who has not only been beat up, but he was sacked 8 times prior. Okay? It baffled me because it came down to that was coaching decision. Okay? In another part of the game, the Jets have a 4th and short. I think it's like a 4th and 1, 4th and 2. And it's 3rd down. It looks like Justin Fields picks up the first down while he's scrambling. And they don't challenge the spot, but they call a timeout. So my thing is, if you call a timeout, you're hoping that video replay reverses it. You already burnt the timeout. Why didn't you challenge it? If they look at it and they see it can be reversed, you don't lose your challenge. If they don't see it can be reversed, you use the timeout anyway. And then they go out there and punt on 4th down. So they blew a timeout to decide they were going to punt without even having them challenge the play. And it's these things that are just baffling. And I get it. Listen, the Bears are just walking right through the Washington defense right now. 1:05 left. Washington doesn't have any timeouts. The Bears can sit up to run the clock down and kick a field goal. But getting back to us, it's like there's like, what baffles me is I'm sitting on the couch, I'm watching this, and me and my buddy is saying it. This is coaching. Why can't they see it? What's going on? Okay, and I'll get to that. So the game ends, okay, and I don't want to watch any post game stuff, and my buddy leaves, and I still have to continue to work. And then a little later on, I put on SNY, and they're talking about Aaron Glenn and the way he's speaking to the reporters. And I still, haven't watched it, and I see it. And basically, somebody asked him in the post game, you know, who's your starter next week? You're going to reevaluate this. And he snapped, like, how could you ask that question? Justin Fields had a bad game. You don't just. And it's not just one game. And I'm not saying Fields has been the cause of all their losses. But quarterback with a little bit more skill yesterday wins that game. Justin Fields has not thrown a pick all year. All right? It's amazing. He hasn't thrown a pick all year. But I think he only has like 2 or 3 touchdown passes. Okay? And I think he ran for 2. And that's it. So they're saying, you didn't earn the right now as the head coach. You don't have that pedigree or that resume for you to get snarky with everybody. And that's going to not last long in New York. That will be a quick exodus with the respect between the media and the coach. Then, you're on social media and this pops up. The Jets had negative 10 yards passing. Negative 10 yards passing. So I think Justin Fields had like 55 yards passing for the whole game. 45 yards, 55 45 yards passing. But his sacks were 10 yards more of losses than he had passing yards. So he had negative 10 yards passing. First time in 27 years in the league that's ever happened. Okay. Then they asked Garrett Wilson about what happened between him and the coach. And he said that he didn't know what the plan was. And that's why he went to the coach afterwards, like what was going on. He said, and then when they told me what the plan was, I was disappointed. And that is just very, very sad. And there's 3 seconds left here in the Chicago game. And they already had a field goal blocked earlier. So this is pretty big. So he's setting up in pouring rain, 3 seconds left, 24-22 Washington. Here comes the snap. High snap, and it's good. Looked like he was going to hook it, but it's good. And the Bears win. The Bears go to 3-2. So, and Washington falls to 3-3. So, they're disappointed. I don't know if it's because Glenn doesn't have any type of faith in the offense. So then they asked Aaron Glenn, yesterday or this morning, yesterday what happened at the half. And listen, I don't know if Aaron Glenn is trying to save his staff where there was miscommunication, or he's trying to save his errors. But he said something to the fact of he didn't know it was a first down. He didn't know if it was fourth down. He didn't know. He didn't want to give Denver the ball back because if he tried a field goal at that point from where they were, he would have gave. Or he didn't. If he went for it and he didn't get it, he would have given them half a field with a few seconds left. Just confusion. And then he also said that the goal was they got the ball back with like 3:24 remaining in the half. The goal was to hold the ball long enough that Denver couldn't get the ball back. Then Denver was only up by 4. So what you're saying is you wanted to hold the ball long enough, and it doesn't matter if you put up points or not. You want to go into the half down by 4. Excuse me, I just had a sneezing attack. And then you're saying your defense, who already has had a turnover and is playing well, is not going to be good enough to hold them. This morning, again, watching the press conference, they asked him about Justin Fields. And he said, he wasn't as adamant as he was yesterday, but he did say, he's not the root cause of why we're losing. And, if you look at his statistics and listen, I read a stat today. My cousin Michael read me a stat today. At one point, he held the ball 7 seconds. He's averaging 3.95 seconds in the pocket, where the rest of the league, I believe he's 31st out of 32. The rest of the league is like under 2 to 1.95 to 2.05. Okay, and he is at almost 4 seconds. Can't do it. Okay, your wide receivers, if they're open, you're going to hit them. That long, they're not going to get open. Or there's going to be a hold or something. Then this was, and I thought this was just me, but then what was brought up was if you look at some of the plays that Justin Fields was sacked or scrambled and really didn't get much, there are open receivers, and he just either does not see them, he doesn't trust himself, but it got to the point where the game was so one-dimensional on offense that they couldn't do anything. First time in Breece Hall's career, he wasn't even targeted for a pass. So you basically have, and my buddy George doesn't agree with me with this, but I feel the offense is so inept because they only have one true wide receiver. And my buddy George said, look at Thursday night with Dart and Neighbors, and Neighbors not playing, and the Giants don't have any type of real receiver. And he proved his point. Yes, I do see your point with that. But you don't. Breece Hall is a speedster. You don't have him come out of the backfield and try to throw him a few passes, a couple of screen passes. I don't get it. And a lot of people, are for let's cut him, let's sell the team. First of all, tell the owner to sell the team. He's not going to sell the team. Okay, you don't like Chase Bank, the owner of Chase Bank, the CEO's not going to sell Chase Bank. You don't like Applebee's owner's not going to, you own a franchise, you're not going to sell the franchise, okay? But you do want success. My thoughts on this is, and I know a lot of people saying Aaron Glenn should be one and done. And even, Don LaGreca tonight, ESPN said he has a 5-year contract. I don't see him here less than 2. And if Woody Johnson had any thought of doing this before, the season's over, I'm sure there are people in the building that are going to tell him not to. And he actually said, I'm sure there are people that will put chloroform on him so he doesn't do it. Okay. Aaron Glenn is saying everything you want him to hear him say before the season started. Now, at this point of the season, you have to prove it to us. You said you're going to be more disciplined. I want to see the discipline. You said your defense is going to be taken away, having takeaways. I want to see that. We have one. Defense is going to put points on the board. We put 2 points on the board. We don't have a high-flying offense. And Justin Fields is not a pocket passer. Roll him out, roll him out, roll him out. If you're going to put him in as a pocket passer, you're going to have to take your lumps and see if he could adjust. And I'm going to say this, I was a proponent to get him here because I thought he was young enough and the ceiling was there that he could get to. He didn't hit his ceiling yet. He could, he still could reach for it. But, that's why I don't scout. So to say you want Woody Johnson, and I'm not going to talk about selling the team because that's just ridiculous, to fire Aaron Glenn. Okay. Who are you going to get? Mike McCarthy says he wants to come back to the NFL. You want Mike McCarthy? We had a shot at him twice so far. We didn't get him. Okay. Do you want Rex back? You know what? Rex had an interview, and they went with Aaron Glenn. Okay. So who do you want? And who is out there that's going to come here? And it was great because on ESPN, you have Don LaGreca, who's a Giant fan. You have Roethlisberger, I think his name is, who's a Washington fan, and I don't know the other guy's name, but he is a Jet fan. And he said, I don't think this is an attractive place for coaches to come. The way, they haven't won in years. They have shown a lot of weaknesses. The only coach who has head coaching experience and wants to come back here is Rex. No other coaches really want to come here, and you can't explain it because to me, a job is a job. Even though I'm a Jet fan, if I wasn't a Jet fan, if I was a coach, and I go back to Bill Parcells had this ego about him okay, where he brought the Giants to 2 Super Bowls and won them. He left the Giants, he was retiring, went to New England. I mean, basically revamped that whole team with Bill Belichick at one point, but basically revamped the whole team. Kraft built the new stadium, and they went to the Super Bowl and they lost to Green Bay. He left them, came to the Jets, 1-15 team. Okay, missed his playoffs by one game first year. AFC Championship game leading by 10 in the second half, second year. 99 missed the playoffs by 1 year after losing Testaverde in game one. Leaves us, retiring. I'm not doing this anymore. Goes to Dallas, brings Dallas back to the playoffs. Okay, so there are no coaches out there like that anymore. Parcells, I think, loved the rush of going into a program and just gutting it and making it his own, stamping it. And then when he realized he couldn't bring it any further, he's leaving. And right now, nobody wants to come here because if you look at what comes here, okay, even though we haven't hired an experienced head coach, they're walking into a rookie quarterback. And next year, we're going to have a rookie quarterback on this roster. I don't know if he's going to start or not, but a rookie quarterback on this roster. Do we trust, first of all, Aaron Glenn and his team to develop the quarterback or any other player that they draft? We don't know. We only seen one off season and 6 games. And they said it on ESPN today. I can't see them cutting him now. I can't see him after this year, unless you tell me this breakthrough mad scientist of a head coach with head coaching experience and success says, I'll come in and revitalize your organization. Okay? It was a feel-good story. The player who was on the 1-15 team, who went to the AFC Championship game, who was a scout, who's come back to be the head coach. But there is a lot to do for this team. Don't expect a lot of winning. Again, I say this every podcast. I said 10-7, 7-10. To get to 7-10, okay, there's 11 games left. We have to go 7-4 the rest of the way. That's, so let me see progress. Let me see the defense gel. Let me see, and to say, let's have, a garage sale and just sell everything. Okay, so we're going to have a garage sale. We're going to get all this draft capital. How many players are we going to draft? How young do we want to make this team with no experience? Do you want to get rid of Garrett Wilson? Do you want to get rid of Breece Hall? I think if you're going to get rid of one, it has to be Breece. I think Garrett Wilson with the new contract is your superstar. And let me add injury to insult. Garrett Wilson took tests that he hyperextended his knee. He's missing multiple weeks. So I don't even know who our number one receiver next week is going to be. It's not easy being green. It is what it is. But week 6 came to an end tonight. The Jets are 0-6. They're home this week against Carolina Panthers, who, by the way, beat the Dallas Cowboys. And I may sound fickle or sour, but last week, and basically I get along with everybody, but I had these 2 obnoxious people sitting next to me. The wife was a Charger fan, and the husband was a Dallas fan. And he was talking like the Dallas Cowboys were 5-0, and I said, "What's your record?" And he goes, "Oh, we're gonna have another one today." I said, "How many wins do you have?" He goes, "We're gonna have another one today." Okay, so you'll have 2 wins. So they went into Carolina, and Carolina beat them yesterday. So we lost to Dallas last week, and we're playing the team that beat them yesterday. I don't know what we're gonna do, but I will root for them. They are part of my life. They're part of my family's life. And I wish them nothing but success. And I want to see success. I want my kids to see them be successful. So I can't go out and just, I can't take this team. And oh my God. Somebody told me if we had Aaron Rodgers on the team, we'd be 3-3. Listen, I'm not going to take that away what Rodgers is doing in Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, with Tomlin as his coach. And Rodgers is not throwing 50-yard bombs. Rodgers is doing what he needs to do to score. Okay? He couldn't do that with us. He was here last year. Okay, so he's saying we're going to be 3-3. I said, okay, let's look at it this way. If he's 3-3, and I don't think he is with this line because I think he gets beat up just as much as what's his name, as Fields. Maybe not as bad, but just he's older. But let's say we go to 10-7 or 9-8, and we get a wild card, and we get bounced in the wild card. Okay, yay, we made the playoffs, and then he retires. We are right back where we are today. Only, we're starting over with another quarterback again. So to go to the playoffs and not do anything, and then have the person who takes us to the playoffs leave, it doesn't do anything. Okay, does not do anything. Rant over. I've worked all weekend. Okay, and to say the word exhausted, I'm exhausted with just the way the season's going. But again, still have the colors on. Watch football all day tonight, and I'll be watching Thursday night and getting ready for Sunday. You're watching The Takeoff. My name is Alex. Follow us. Twitter, @TheJetsTakeoff is our Twitter handle. Email us at thejets.takeoff@gmail.com and follow us on here on YouTube. The Takeoff is our account name, and @TheJetsTakeoff is our channel. Have a great rest of your week. Be safe. Be healthy. Have a blessed week, whichever you say it, and I'll talk to you soon.